Ladies and gentlemen of BlueHat 2025, trust nothing.
Whoa. It works, okay. Hi everybody, and thank you to be here because I know I'm the last person between the talk and the happy hour, so sorry about that. So we will talk about Mimikatz, but I'm sorry in advance. Microsoft asked me to make a keynote, to make some inspiration for you, to motivate some young people about security. I know it will be crazy because in Israel you are nearly all crazy about security, but well, I will try my best. But sorry in advance, there will no technical demonstration, no new Windows hacking like I did for decades. But some crazy story about Mimikatz, what happened, why I created Mimikatz. But let's start by the beginning. I'm Benjamin Delpy in French, not Ben, blah, blah, blah. Gentilkiwi. It's important to make it French. Security is a short night, so it's like Batman. Usually by day, I'm a manager now. So I'm head of security service at a French hotel bank. So we don't create security, we don't create malware, we don't make phone explode. No fun stuff. And I hate certification. I'm not CSSP, CISA, OCS, blah. I'm not all of that at all. I will never be. I don't ask about certification. And when I have some people in interview, if they have a big list of that, usually it will be a very bad hour for them. But you see that, yes. I prefer proof than certification. You have seen I'm French, sorry about my accent. Your turn. So my nickname is about Kiwi. You can choose if it's the fruit of its animals. Yes, I'm a violent Kiwi. I'm not very passionate with people, but I'm forced to. Okay. So now let's talk about the history. The legend is I created Mimikatz to learn C. It's partially true. I learned C and C++, in fact, in school. Multiplication table. Hello world. Make all the loops that you can. What is the best loop for this example? It was a nightmare. I don't know when you learn C in school, but who learned about Windows API in C in school? Yeah, that's what I saw. It is exactly like me. Who made VBA to learn Windows API? VBA, no VBS, VBA. Okay. We are not young. Okay, so I was frustrated. I consider I didn't learn C and C++ at school. Okay. Who have some friends that say to them, hey, if you want to learn a new language, create something, create a game, create a program. Yes, nearly everyone. And who had an idea at this moment? Yes, nobody. So you have this good advice from your friends, and you don't know what to do, exactly like me. So I was, hey, let's create Mimikatz. No, I didn't do that. I was, hey, let's try to make some fun stuff with Windows. But at the beginning, the Mimikatz was not at all about passwords, about Kerberos, about smart card, blah, blah, blah. It was not at all. I was just here to create, I create a new process, calc.exe, of course. But very quickly, I saw very cool stuff for other very talented people. Maybe you remember Jailbreak, not the iPhone one. Jailbreak about exporting non-exportable certificates on Windows. Very crazy. Or MSVCTL. I think it was the first public version of programs that was able to make pass the hash on Windows. When I saw this program and I tested it at work, it worked. So I was crazy and I want to do exactly the same things. I want to understand how it works. But I was very young. I think I was 22 at this time. So no, I didn't want to understand first. I wanted to make it work. Then and to understand it. So I started to code. So it was in 2007. It's old, it's old. And I started to create my first program in 64-bit version. It was a very good choice because, no, You know about it. But at these times, I was a fool to create with pointer on 8 bytes. Oh, I'm crazy to do it. And also because I'm still French, I coded with Unicode stuff. So I know you know Unicode because Hebrew, of course. But when you have accent in France, I can guarantee you it's not a secret anymore. I made some central bank domain controller crash because of accent. Real story. So I started to code in Unicode very quickly. But before MSVCTL and pass the hash, I wanted to bypass GPO at work. I wanted to run CMD. I wanted to run Task Manager and stuff like that. It was forbidden by GPO. So the first Mimikatz implementation was about bypassing GPO and started to make bad things. I also push inside a teeny keylogger with not a lot of lines, so less lines, less detection. Yes. And I also made a version to export private key because jailbreak was very good, but it was graphical and it was detected by nearly all antivirus, and I don't like that. I wanted to my private key. And to be very honest, it was not about Mimikatz. It was about less fun name. It was KeyDLL. Kiwi, DLL injector, of course. KeyDLL pipe because I was speaking on a named pipe to interact with LSISS process. At the time, it was not about reading memory. It was about making some interaction because it was more easy to call API in LSISS than Mimikatz. So why Mimikatz? Cats and Mimikatz. Because it was more fun, because Mimi is cute in French, it's not a legend too. Cats is about cat, because it's cute too. And because when I put some in Google, KDLL pipe, I found it was nearly impossible to find my own work. Even for me, because it was not public at this time. You didn't know about Mimikatz when I created. So it was only for me, it was on Google Codes, then GitHub, but it was just my tool. So I use French names because it's fun for me, not for you, sorry about it. So now let's speak about how I do my research. So a lot of people are imagining that when we make reverse, we are dressed like this. Especially now because it's very cold in the front row. So I think you hope to be dressed like this. Yes. So just to be honest, executive still thinks that we are like this when we make some reverse. Or they want us to be like this when we make some reverse. I'm not at all like this. This is the real me, making some reverse of Mimikatz. The most important part in this picture is the coffee. Of course. Yes. But I'm French, so there is not only coffee. Also cheese. And it's not a legend. Some very old tweets about Mimikatz was sometimes dialogue with Microsoft people, internal Microsoft people, or Aurato people, I remember the years. Yes, Aurato here. Right? And sometimes they challenge me, hey, you will crack this. No, first I have to eat my cheese. Then I will make something fun with Microsoft Windows. And it was exactly the case. They were full about it. But no, it's not a legend. A lot of raclette is needed to code Mimikatz. But how the password story is starting. The password story is starting in 2011. It's old. But I was young, I was serious, and I was I feared Microsoft's reaction about the password. I didn't want to think that I'm the only guy that discovers that there is password encrypted in memory. So what we do? We open a case, of course. So I opened the case with the bank, of course, said, hey, I have something very crazy about password, okay. But Microsoft, oh no, Microsoft, big company with this logo. Let your imagination about it, please. So they say, oh, but you must be administrator. This is not a problem. It is, yes, of course. But come on, I think it can be problematic, even if we are administrator. Because all the attacks, especially in the Windows XP or Vista 7 area, everyone was administrator. OK. So I asked them, but maybe do something, because I think it can be problematic. You know the future, no? So yes, it was problematic. OK. I know where are the Microsoft people in the room just because of the laws. Say, okay. Of course, thank you for reports, yes. Voilà. I did. I get a survey about this case. So I opened it, officially the case that I discovered password in memory, they sent me a survey. It was old. It's not like this anymore. Okay. It was a fail, but I was not happy about the reaction of Microsoft. So let's try a group case, because we were thinking that, okay, one central bank is not big at the scale of Microsoft. That's true. So we asked about other banks to open a case with us. A group case. Yes, it was a French group case, so it was again a fail, because even if we are multiple banks, we are only a little amount of customer of Microsoft, so they didn't care at all. So okay, Microsoft doesn't consider it is a problem. I have the email in backup just in case of problem with jurist people. So let's release Mimikatz. So it was crazy times. I released Mimikatz, I think, in 2011, and made my first conference in Moscow in 2012. And the source code was released in 2012. Maybe some of you will know why. Crazy time. So a lot of people were starting to use it. So golden area for me. Oh, password everywhere. In 2012, no more DLL injections. It was working just by reading the memory. And in 2013, I invented the BIOD. Bring your own dump. You even don't need Mimikatz on your target. You dump in Task Manager, and you have the dump, and you study the password on your own laptop. No more alert. EDR love it. Yeah. And of course, because I also love the kernel stuff, I also created a WinDBG plugin to make some interaction, because what is more legit than a Microsoft debugger to interact with LSISS process or kernel? It worked as hell. But to be honest, it was not just to help attacker or to help you. It was just for me to learn new things. It was my first WinDBG plugin. It was my first time dealing with memory dump format. I didn't know a bit about it. This is the younger me. I had some hair. It was in Moscow. I was in fear, a lot. But I didn't know at the time of the conference. Maybe you know about the spy story. It's not a legend. There are some interesting people in my room when I was not in my room. Because at the time, my source code was not public. Like a researcher, I was just a younger Kiwi. I was at my first conference, and I planned to release the source code at the end of the conference. It's a normal way when you have some tools. But I knew, because of China Forum and Russia invitation, that they didn't have source code working with the same password dumping. So they wanted to source code, and they didn't know that I will release the source code. So they were a little bit not aggressive. I will not say that, but not lovely with me. I didn't have picture about them, but no, I say, yes, you will have the source code. No problems, I want to exceed the country. Just after that, a lot of attacks. The first one, in fact, was DigiNotar. I don't know if you remember, it was a PKI arcade, and there is some Mimikatz part in the attack. Olympic Games, a lot of hotels, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure you are the source of some attack with Mimikatz. Yes, you are. Come on. Don't say that. But even with attacks, it was in Mr. Robot. Come on, it was crazy. You can't imagine my phone the day after that. And it was not too much bad. There is some mistakes, some O at a place of 0, blah, blah. They even removed my name because, you know, credits, not important, even in a series. But friends know me, so they send me a lot of messages and a lot of notifications. Crazy day, crazy weeks. The series itself is not very good, in fact, but I'm pretty sure you know a lot of other tools inside. It was cool. But let's go back with that. it was my fun times, but Microsoft made something, because, you know, it's not a problem, it won't fix. No problems. Come on. They had a lot of customer case about it. There's a lot of other questions. Who say case, say we lost money. So, and we lost credibility on security. So they had to make some things. They invented a restricted admin mode. Doesn't work very well. They invented LSA protections, not credential guard. LSA protections, it was just a registry key to say, hey, the LSA process is protected. Not really effective. Bypassed was the driver. Protected user security group. In fact, it's not as bad as it sounds. No more passwords in some of memory, but you can install Kerberos tickets. And in fact, in real life, it was a pain in the ass of all administrators. They don't want to use it. To re-authenticate each time, impossible to do in real life. They also make white papers, because executives love white papers, of course, about how to mitigate credential theft. They even made a backport of the good stuff in Windows 7. I think it was the first time that Microsoft backported new technology, not a fix, new technology in previous version. They also, of course, made a new white paper, because white paper is lovely. Whew. It was not good because, in fact, I had to make a conference in France the day just after they released the white paper. So I had to make all my night before my talk to read all the white paper to be sure I will not say something wrong just because of that. Hopefully, it was really nothing. But in fact, I think you were happy. I was happy because Microsoft making very good in terms of security at these times. It was not very often. So because of the password problematics, it was more difficult for me to go to password because Microsoft fixed a lot of things. So I said, OK, let's go to Kerberos. Because at the time, Kerberos was not very mainstream. Who understood Kerberos protocol byte by byte 10 years ago? Of course. Aurato guys, OK. Nearly nobody knows about Kerberos. Even though you use Kerberos, but it's a nightmare protocol. But it's a protocol, I think it's older than me. But nobody knows exactly how it works. And even sometimes Microsoft, they push some non-standard stuff inside. So I learned about Kerberos. I learned that Microsoft took some shortcuts, say, oh yes, make a Kerberos key. Oh, let's use the NTLM hash. It's exactly the same things. Very, very problematic, especially about when we use smart card. But you can use. I have to finish my talk? No? No. But even with smart card, because smart card was the gold, it was the most secure way to authenticate in the Windows world at the time. So they, hey, but when we use a smart card, what will you do? OK, but I did exactly the same thing. I made a Mimikatz and kekeo stuff to bypass security. I even made some Diffie-Hellman attack. It was cryptography. For me, it was a nightmare. Because like all the previous stuff I presented, I did not know a byte about Diffie-Hellman before I had to code it. I didn't know a word about IES for Kerberos, because it's not standard IES, of course. Just because of the Kerberos protocol, I had to learn and I had to code it. It was a nightmare. So I made kekeo implementation with password, with key, with RSA and Diffie-Hellman, and I made an attack with RSA with Diffie-Hellman when you can pre-sync in advance session key with kekeo, which is very easy to hack because in the Windows world there is password in memory, but there is also your PIN code in memory. So you have access to the smart card. This is in the reader of the users. You have the PIN code in clear text, or nearly in clear text. And you have an attack that can make you think in advance session key. You can have tickets in the future with that. It worked as hell. In fact, this is not a Windows problematic. It was in the Kerberos protocol. I don't know the year of the specification, but it's very old. But nobody was using PKINIT seriously at this time. So Microsoft pushed a new option, PKINIT freshness. So I call my attack PKINIT mustiness, of course. And it was only available in Windows 10 recent version. Windows 11, no, is OK with that. But you must have a full network aware of that. So your domain controller must be very recent. All your Windows station must be recent. Otherwise, with one client not up to date, you are vulnerable to this attack. It still works. Even with the safe option from Microsoft, it still works. Yes. Microsoft do RFC about it, so it's old, but it's nearly not very good, very implemented and used in real life. But let's talk about more recent. Yes, I push previous speaker in my own slide. I'm lazy like that. So I assume you know all about VBS, no? So I will pass slide, no. But Microsoft created something very good. VSM, we spoke it previously, Credential Guard. Credential Guard is it's not exactly an enclave because it's a specific enclave from Microsoft. Who know about cryptographic hardware? Smart card. Where's your hand? Of course, Aorato again. HSM. Who use HSM? Oh. Wow, not a lot. Let's imagine Microsoft push an HSM hardware in an enclave. They say, these Kiwi guys sucks, he's annoying, he dump all the keys that we push in LSISS. Okay, what is the solution? We move the key to an enclave. That was the goal. It's like an HSM. When you have an HSM or a smart card, you don't have access to the private key. You ask the result to the key. This virtualization is here just because of that. I don't want to say just because of me, because I'm not as evil as that, but it helps to prevent a lot of attacks. How does it work? It's exactly like presented this morning, but you see the main problem exactly on this slide. This is the hash of the password of the users. You put it in the enclave like an HSM. It will encrypt it with a volatile key. It's a blob. I like blob. It gives you back the blob. And when you have to make an authentication with a challenge, you send the challenge plus the blob to the secure enclave. It will decrypt the blob to the original key, and you can have the response. Which is very cool because you didn't manipulate the original key. But in fact, that's not true. Remember this slide? The key is here. This is in the user space. So when people authenticate on Windows session, I can guarantee you there is your password and your hash. You can read it. You can make a keylogger, it will work. But it's good. This is a mandatory meme for David, of course, because he wants credential guard everywhere. Yes, I'm very good with PowerPoint. Yeah. But before speaking about other stuff, Credential Guard is a very good technology, but unfortunately, it's only for enterprise version, pro version of Windows. It doesn't change. Of course, you don't have a domain when you are a private customer, but it can be good because at these times, Microsoft created a new technology to protect even your private key in enclave. It can be very good to have this kind of technology. So password was very hard for me to get, especially because of Credential Guard. So I created other attack, the golden ticket. I love it. When you have access one time to the Kirby TGT key, you can be everyone, global admin, domain admin, enterprise admin, and by default, the Kirby TGT doesn't change at all. And if you change it too quickly, you have a disaster on your enterprise. Trust me. We didn't have, but I know a lot of French companies that had problems about it. And because of the architecture of Windows on the domain, if you have this key for one domain, you can make problems in all the forests, not only a domain. But even Golden Ticket was hard because Microsoft made a recommendation to rotate the Kirby TGT after years, maybe decades, I don't know. So there is also silver tickets. You know, silver, golden, it's less powerful, but you can make very good attack with that. But I made also another attack, very cool, exactly with the same domain controller secrets. the DPAPI backup key. I love it. I think it's not fixed in Windows at these times. When you are in the domain, Windows domain, and you encrypt some secret, a private key, by example, or you save password somewhere, it's encrypted by DPAPI. But when you are in the domain, your master key is protected by a domain key, a domain backup key. The domain backup key is stored on domain controller. You cannot access it. You can only use this key when you make some recovery, when you change your password, reset your password, in fact, or when you use smart card because there is no password. This key cannot be changed. If somebody stole it, if somebody made a red team assessment against the domain controller and have this key, rebuild your domain. You have no other choice, or you accept the risk for governance people. Of course, it's in Mimikatz too. There is also skeleton key. Skeleton key was more about making fun on domain controller. It's when I inject a shellcode on a domain controller that allow me to authenticate in any account with a Mimikatz password if I want. Your password is still valid, but I have my password for your account too. Very cool. And with another crazy French guy, Vincent Letou, he was at BlueHat a few years ago too. We created DC Sync and DC Shadow. It was very fun. We are domain controller now. We can ask a domain controller, hey, trust me, I am a domain controller. Please send me the hash on AES key for this particular user or all users in the domain. And because we are a domain controller, the official domain controller sends it without any problems. Okay, I will send you. Very good attack, but in fact, it's not an attack. It's the official protocol to synchronize against domain controller. There is in-packet implementation now. Don't do it in production. Sometimes some DC crash, and Microsoft doesn't care about it because you are not supposed to make some DC sync between domain controller. Only legit domain controller can speak to a legit domain controller, not a Mimikatz, not in-packet. So sometimes it can crash. DC Shadow is a reverse DC Sync. DC Sync is to get the private key, the private information that you want from a domain controller. DC Shadow is to write something in another domain controller because the legit domain controller thinks you are also a legit domain controller. But why you can't do that? It's very interesting to write some SID story, by example. You can make very interesting attack. It can be very interesting to push some forbidden character in some username. Think about CM. It can be very interesting. Think about SQL injection with CM. Very interesting. No real story behind that. No. DPAPI is complicated. It's a keynote. It's complicated, but it still works in Windows. But nearly nobody used Mimikatz to do DPAPI, because if you use Mimikatz recently, you saw that maybe Windows Defender detected it. It depends. I think if you push a sleep 30 seconds before the main process, Defender don't care about Mimikatz. Yeah, true story. So I don't want you to use Mimikatz, in fact. I want you to make your own code. It's very interesting, and because I don't update it a lot. So you don't want to use Mimikatz because of Windows Defender detection? No problems. Code it yourself. By example, this is a private key. A real private key protected by DPAPI, not a CNG, the CAPI one, previous one, but it still works. It's still in Windows 11, in fact. I think it's the default. There is a flag with private key that says this key is exportable or not. I can manipulate it with Mimikatz, I can ignore it with Mimikatz, I can make whatever I want. But you can make it just with an hexadecimal editor by yourself. In fact, the private key is the first part of the file. The flag that says exportable or not is this part. What can I do? You just push the DPAPI exportable flag in place. It's enough. It's your file. You just edit the file. Windows will think that the key is exportable. Wow, big attack. So the CNG are nearly the same, in fact. You cannot make this kind of hexadecimal edits. It's not a backup game, so no. it's not very secure, in fact, the CNG. It's more protected because they move the crypto part in the SISS, but it's still on your file system, it's still on your profile, so you can decrypt your own file very easily. DPAPI ENG is better, but of course, the best part now is about the TPM. You can make virtual smart card, you can use a platform provider. Nobody uses it, but if you have enterprise version and stuff like that, use it. You can make nearly like a smart card or HSM with the Windows TPM. Your keys are protected by the TPM. Software certificates are protected by TPM. It's nearly impossible to break it. I even didn't make a module in Mimikatz for that, because it's nearly impossible. But I think I never seen in real life implementation in enterprise. We do, because of me, but that's a shame. Okay, in Mimikatz, at the end, I was lazy too, but I wanted to make some fun about Print Nightmare. Who remember Print Nightmare? Yeah, we are more young. Of course, Print Nightmare, I didn't discover Print Nightmare, but I think if the original story was just, it was a China researcher that leaked by accident a POC that worked, that allow you to be system to inject arbitrary DLL, in fact. But in fact, Print Nightmare is Print Nightmare with S. There is a lot of variants. And I even published one. I think it was a 0-day at this time, by accident, because it was a nightmare, and Microsoft didn't answer at all about it. So it was in 2021, yes, but Microsoft didn't make nothing at all. For, I think, yes, 2 months. For 2 months, I pushed in Azure a vulnerable server with my own driver implementation. You just had to connect to printnightmare.gentilkiwi.com in your Explorer, connect to my legit Kiwi printer, and you add a system shell on your Windows computer. It was good at least for 1 month, but the Print Nightmare story, I think it was for 2 months. And even with that, Microsoft pushed some fix that broke printing in some enterprise. For real. Of course, you can't imagine we are a bank, so we don't print nothing important at all. So we had to make with the first, I think the most accurate blog was mine, with the first, about how to deal with this attack. When you have to handle security advice from the Mimikatz author, there is something wrong sometimes. So we reached nearly the end of the talks, but I spoke a lot of me. But Mimikatz is not only me. I had a lot of friends during so Aorato, of course, but it was more about kekeo than Mimikatz. It was Chris Campbell, Skip the Qualge, Vincent Letou, all the in-packet parts, SpectreOps teams. Of course, there are a lot of crazy people that have a lot of crazy idea in minds. They even make Mimikatz implementation of Mimikatz derivative, and I invite you to make that. Don't use Mimikatz on the GitHub. It's detected by antivirus just because of that. But it's old. You have to use your own implementation. That's just, remember, it's a POC. Mimikatz is a POC I made for me to learn new stuff. I'm not a professional. I don't make service. I don't make SLA or support for you. It was just, hey, guys, I made something fun. Create your own. And a lot of person do it. There is, I think there is Kiwi modules in Metasploit and stuff like that. That's cool, but don't use it. Create your own. If I was able to make it without knowing C language outside multiplication table, you can do it too. But there is not also this crazy guy. Even some internal Microsoft guys who are very cool about Mimikatz. Now we have credential guard, now we have a lot of protection around LSIS, now we have a better Windows Defender that detects Mimikatz, minus the 30-second tricks, of course. So yes, thank you to Microsoft Teams again about that. We are not enemy, in fact. It's hard to believe, but we are not. We speak each other, sometimes. They invite me, so. And you for some people that know me, I forgot a lot of names, so I thank you to all those people that helped me and I forgot names. Sorry about that. I know I even don't answer some email about Mimikatz. I'm sorry about it. But let's speak about a security guru, because it's a good mantra that he pushed. If you disagree with the vendor assessment of the security boundary, publish a tool. Yeah, do it. I can guarantee it works. By default, Microsoft didn't think it was a problem. They didn't want to fix some stuff. After many tools, after many publications, after many conferences, after many attacks, we know other Windows 10, Windows 11, not as bad in security, in fact. It's very good. The TPM and credential guard, game-changing. It's good. So publish stuff. But let's pick just, because it doesn't exist officially, Mimikatz 3. No real demonstration, it's a keynote, okay? You will be disappointed. But yes, it exists. I will show you. This is ISA1 code. Whoa. Because in Mimikatz 3 versions, I mixed kekeo and Mimikatz in the same program. So yes, it exists. Yes, Windows Defender let it. There is two kiwi, because the first Fritz kiwi is about Mimikatz. The second, the animals, was about kekeo. I mixed it in the one programs. OK, this is the BlueHat edition, because I know there is a lot of screenshots, so I will know exactly who leaked it. Just because of that. So just because it's not only something that I copy-paste from the notepad, yes, it works. It has the most important command working inside. Yes. And also another option, because I know it was very annoying for you just because of that, I implemented this time, not crypto. Crypto, let's see. This time it supports, this is not module function. This is module, submodule, submodule if you want. It's very flexible. You can implement it. There is no plugin, come on. But it's C, it's my code. You don't like my way of coding in C. But at least you can code some Citrix module for other stuff. Now the bad news. I don't think I will make it public. Yeah? I'm tired, in fact. I'm tired of you, too. But no, it's not my turn to develop. It's your turn. All the code of that is already somewhere in the internet. At this time, this is my private version. I love to use it because it's not detected. There is no IRA rule. I know some Microsoft rule was about the icon of Mimikatz. Yes? So it will be problematic because the picture is changing, of course. But I know that there is also other rule just because there is my name in the console output. No, it's not a legend. I made some tests. So maybe I will remove it. Who knows? But no, I don't think I will make it public. I use it when I have something to test. In fact, I implemented in Mimikatz 3. Maybe when I will be very old or tired, I will make it public. But I really hope that it will be another, not another person, it's my code, but it will be other teams, other persons that will create new version, new implementation about all of that. Come on, I'm on stage for decades on this subject. It cannot be, okay. Little conclusion, because happy hour in 10 minutes, remember. So very important, always communicate with vendor. Even if they say it's not a proper security boundary, blah, 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 won't fix by design, communicate. Just to have the email that say it's not a problem in case of jurist problem. Trust me. Really. And even if this is, your first approach is not good, I was not imagining that, but 10 years after, I have some friends at Microsoft. So it's a good start to communicate. Not only to Microsoft, I also have some relation with other companies during my decades. Of course, don't speak about risk without POC. Great, code, make demonstration. I can guarantee you when you have some big executive, make a demonstration. They cannot deny the problems when you make a demonstration. A theoretical risk, governance risk, it exists, it's important. But when you make a demonstration, oh yes, you say the risk is not good. Yes, but I'm already domain admin and I have access to your mailbox. Ah, okay, maybe we will consider the problems. Maybe I will make a phone call to Microsoft France. So it will not work. It's bad to say that, but be visible. That's why I have Tahitian shirt. You saw me very. But making some talk. At the beginning, I was not very good at speaking in English. It's still the case, okay. But I was not very good at speaking at all, in fact. But making conference, making the problem visible to company, to real hackers, even to bad groups, to be honest, that's the point. It changes Microsoft point of view about all the problems. It changed company point of view. It changed agency point of view about the problems. And it helps also when you find some piece of the code in the NASA NSA leak, I think. Yes. They also add the WD-Jest password part. So, oh yes, if the NSA code edit, maybe it can be a problem for Microsoft, even if they deny it. It goes to the vendor. This is not because you don't consider as something as vulnerability that it will not exploit it. Yes. It's not because it's not in the security boundary. It's not because it is not on the Microsoft official eligible products for bounty that it is not problematic. If you think something is interesting, code, share, even if it's for 5 years without visibility. When I code, it's not to be on stage. It's to understand for me. So code and share. Think about other people. When I publish my new tools, when I publish my code, my source code, it's for having a backup for me, because, okay. But I know there is some researchers that will take weeks or months just to study and to learn new things about it. Think about other people, not only you. And to be honest, because I was very hard against Microsoft during my talk, again, no, the actual Microsoft is very good. It doesn't have any comparison with the Microsoft for 10 years or 15 years ago. We know a very good dialogue. They consider every risk as a real risk, especially because Azure business, blah, blah, blah. But yes, they consider it as risk, and we can exchange. And they accept to change some things when it's very bad. That's all. Let's go.